So thank you for joining us today. We a little bit of technical difficulty this morning. Apologize for our tardiness. We are going to get rocking and rolling here really quick. This is our Business Owner Entrepreneurs Revealed series from the perspective of our various clients, and just a quick discussion with Joe about how they got started in business, how they choose advisors, and what kind of challenges they're facing, and that sort of thing. This morning we have Raquel with us, as you can see, with Joe, and I will let them go ahead and get started. Thank you.
Morning, Shelley, and good morning, all. And for those listening to the recording, you'll only have 20 minutes of this part because we started about 10 minutes later. That's quite all right. I was a little bit behind. Good morning, Raquel.
Good morning.
How are you today, dear?
I'm well. I'm well. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here.
No, not at all. Tell me, you own and run your own business, correct?
Yes.
And what is that?
So I sell luxury real estate and focus mainly on Ranch and Coast. So Rancho Santa Fe, Del Mar, La Jolla. Those are my hubs for business.
Sure. And when did you start that?
Well, I first got licensed in real estate in 2004. I was born and raised in San Diego, went to Miami to study psychology, graduated, hated it. And then I was like, what am I going to do now? I always loved homes. I loved people. And I decided to get into real estate. So that's where it all started.
Beautiful. And then we also met because you also have a family business too. What is that?
Correct. So my parents, they have a real estate business as well. They do real estate development.
So the apple didn't fall too far from the tree.
Yes. And I think that was one of the reasons why I ended up with real estate. I just always loved the whole process of negotiating and building and seeing something, start from scratch, buying the land, seeing the building, and then just having it all come together.
So did your mom and dad do that together? Was that your dad's thing? Was that your mom's thing?
My dad had an import-export business back in the day. There was Kenwood and Sony, you used to have those stereos in your cars and subwoofers and all that. Now everything's, digital, but he used to sell that. So he had a very profitable business in the US exporting this to Mexico. But on the side, he started buying real estate. And that ended up being the business that he's retiring into now.
And was your mom involved at all?
So my mom, she was at home. She was taking care of us. My father always had an incredibly strong work ethic. He'd leave at 7:30 in the morning, come home at 9:30 at night. He was working all the time, traveling a lot to Asia, to Mexico, just getting new brands. And my mom was kind of taking care of everything.
Sure. And so did you or your brother get involved in that business at all early on?
Not early on. Even though I started my own business in residential real estate, my brother started taking over the management of some of the rentals and the buildings about 15 years ago.
So your brother got actively involved with your dad in his business. Did you get actively involved?
No, I did not.
So
I did not.
So and was that because your dad was looking to help your brother have a job? Was that because your brother was looking to have a job? Was it because he had an aptitude for it? What do you think your brother joined in?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, first of all, I was at some point I was living in Miami where I started real estate, and then I got married, moved to Argentina. So I wasn't even here to run that. And then when I came back and picked up my real estate business again, my brother was already, doing a wonderful job managing, the tenants and the real estate. So there was no need for me to step in at that point. Yeah, I think he had his advisors at some point to help him do everything, how he was supposed to do it. And then of course he had all of his ideas on how it should be done as well. But when
your dad has an opinion.
Oh yeah. He's got a strong personality. So something that was important to my brother and I, when he had a conversation with us that he wanted to step down from the business and retire. I think he's, you know, close to 80 now. That's when my brother and I, you know, came in and we started looking at everything he had created and started learning a little more about, you know, the assets he had, and they started, you know, bringing us into all that. And my brother and I decided that, you know, for our part of it, you know, now that we were going to become partners in the business, we wanted something a little more formal,
Sure.
and that's where
That's
we
one of the
brought
reasons
you
we
guys
met
in.
and
Yeah,
spent this time together.
exactly, exactly.
I know with my dad, God rest his soul, we've been without him for 24 years now. But I remember when I, as a young boy, got involved to help, and a young man got involved to help with Dad what he did. The job didn't pay anything for me, but it was what you did for the family.
Yeah.
And at the time, I knew that Dad had done really well, and I was very proud of all the way that he had done it. But as I later on became a professional, and I started to look at what was going on, so many of these things were on handshakes and old leases and old pieces, and
Absolutely.
where he had an agreement with a person, but if that person died, this was not going to go well.
Yeah,
And then there were sometimes, even when he got sick, where people tried to take advantage.
yeah,
And so it was, he actually told me, son, you're now, I was then, and you all can generate way too much paper with these computers,
Yeah.
as he called them, and said, I'm out. But a lot of it was on his handshake. Was your dad like that too?
absolutely, absolutely. And still to a lot of, you know, to a lot of degrees, when he still does, you know, some business, it is all based on a handshake, and it goes through. It goes through, especially those long established relationships that he has.
And then I know that with Dad, my dad searched advisors, but the advisors he stuck with were the ones that did what he wanted them to do.
No.
So anybody that gave him advice to say, you should be careful of this, you shouldn't do this, you can't do that, he would simply find another advisor and say, yes, you can do it, and stick with that advisor. How about your dad?
Yeah. Oh, my dad has a good sense of how things work, and you know, he's been very successful, and he's had some good advisors, but I think just the way my brother and I would like to plan things for the future, we just think it would be convenient to do it a different way. And we asked if he'd be open-minded to changing his strategy a little bit, especially the whole succession planning and, you know, planning.
You asked an old Latin man
Yes,
who is set in his ways, that's in how old now?
almost 80, yeah.
80 years old. You asked him if he would consider doing it a different way. What was that conversation like?
It was difficult at first. It was there was a lot of pushback, and eventually we got him to understand that it was what would benefit my brother and I and our families in the future the most, to have things planned in a different way, just a
Sure.
little more strategically. And once he understood that, he is a businessman. He understood, and he's all in now.
Very, very cool. I know with my dad, and I think it was with your dad too, there was resistance about dad control or not until he realized that whatever was happening was going to have a negative impact on his children or grandchildren. As he realized that there was going to be a negative impact for who he was trying to take care of, suddenly he was really cooperative. Was your dad about the same?
Yes, I think that was something that was a big motivator for him,
Yeah.
for sure. Yes.
So talk to me about balance a little bit. You and your husband have how many children?
We have 3 daughters.
And then your husband has a pretty big job too, right?
Yes.
So what does he do?
Yeah. So he does M&A and strategy for he's in property technology. So funny enough.
Yes.
Also. So he used to be a McKinsey consultant. So he for about 8 years, and then he branched out and did his own thing for a while, and then now he does strategy consulting and M&A for other companies.
And how old are your kids?
My kids are 10, 14, and 16.
Wow, so you're still in the big throes of it.
Yes.
Because your 16-year-old driving?
Not yet. She doesn't want to drive.
She doesn't want to drive.
Which I love. I mean, we have I have an excellent relationship with my 3 daughters. And I just love to be able to put forth this, you know, strong business woman,
Yes.
you know, role model for them, because I didn't have that growing up. I'm actually the first female to graduate on my father's side of the family.
Yes.
So to have a degree and definitely to run a business like the one I run. So that's something I'm really proud of. And, you know, having 3 daughters for me is not a coincidence. They see me negotiating on the phone. They see my people skills. They're listening. They're, you know, many times they're in the background when I'm having these
Yes.
conversations. And, you know, I'll hang up a call and they'll like start clapping. They're like, oh my gosh, Mom, like, where do you get that from? And that just makes me so proud.
So your heart sings through that.
Yes, yes.
And are they, do you think at their young tender ages now looking towards business or looking towards entrepreneurship? Or what do you, because I know that with my daughter, she struggles with, does she look towards business or does she look towards, hey, we used to have a good gig. I don't want to have to do all that stuff. She kind of struggles with both sides. How about your kids?
Yeah, I think I mean, they definitely see it's a lot of hard work. Some of the things that they're very interested in is law. They'd
Yes.
love to be lawyers, all 3 of them actually. And that actually ties into real estate a lot. I think that's somewhere where a lot of real estate agents fail, not knowing the contracts. And that's something that is incredibly important to me.
Sure.
Being, you know, really informed about what my clients are signing and any question they ask to be able to know what they're signing. I actually work with a lot of lawyers. So many
I'm
times.
so sorry.
No, they are fabulous. We understand each other.
Good.
So I'll go through like Zoom meetings where I'm going page by page, explaining what every clause represents. And my daughters see that, and I think they like that side of it.
That is cool.
Mhm.
Can we talk about balance for a minute?
Sure.
How in the world? My goodness gracious. You've you lived around the world. You now live here. You've got 3 daughters in high school or thereabouts, or just before it. You've your husband has a big job. You've got a big company yourself, and you're helping your brother now figure out your dad's stuff. What tenets, what ideas do you have to kind of balance that all out? Is it survival of the fittest every day, or do you have some rule sets for yourself?
There's no balance. None. There's none. There's very little sleep. I've never needed to sleep too much. I feel as I
That's
age
because
now.
you're so friggin' young.
No, I'm not. I'm 48. I don't consider that very young. But as I have aged, I realize I do need more sleep. I can't get by on 4 hours anymore. But really, I
So what are your
try
new
for
rules for
balance.
sleep?
Yeah, one of my rules is I try to get more sleep. Try to be in bed by midnight, and try to wake up by 6.
Oh, so you've graduated from 4 to 6 hours of sleep.
Yes, that's new. That's new for me. But yeah, I mean, balance I think is a little elusive for me, especially because I'm so passionate about my work. And I mean, the kind of job I do is it's a relationship business.
Yes.
So I really thrive on making people happy and finding somebody a home, you know, knowing how important it is to me to have a family, to have a home, and finding somebody that next place is just so important to me. So I go to sleep every night like a little kid, not wanting to go to sleep because
Okay.
I don't want the day to be over. And when I wake up, I'm straight up and back to it, you know, and I love it. So, you know, work is my balance. My kids are part of my work. When I have every time I have a closing, I celebrate with them. I
Good.
take them to a nice 4-course dinner. You know, we'll go to a fancy restaurant and we'll talk about what it's like being a woman in business and the challenges that go along with that, with raising a family and trying to establish some sort of balance. And, you know, everything else, you know, try to fit in date nights on Saturdays. That's
So
fun.
Saturday's your date night?
Yeah, Saturday's my date night. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then what do you wish you would have known as you were starting your business about other advisors? Because you seem to lean on other advisors now. So you've got accountants, you've got attorneys, the ones that you work with. How did you find them? And what do you know now that you didn't know then on how to find them?
So I would say definitely go by referrals. One of my big clients that I was working with, I knew I needed somebody to help with my family's wealth planning, and I just, you know, we have become good friends. So I asked him who he would recommend, and
Sure.
he directed us to you guys.
Thanks.
And then by coincidence, I found out that one of my husband's big clients had also used you before.
Yes.
So so that to me was just, you know, a testament of how, you know, how good this company was, and a big sign that I should pick up the phone and give you guys a call.
So you end up, your idea then is, if you're in a service business where you look to other large clients, or if you have other families that have a similar position, you look to them to say who the referrals are, and you look for where it's mentioned more than once.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then there are probably some other friends you have that don't have your business acumen or your financial ability. You don't look to them to ask who, because they wouldn't necessarily be dealing with that person.
Yeah,
Is that fair?
exactly. And actually, I get a lot of people coming to me asking me who I would recommend. So I always keep a, you know, a portfolio of people I like working with.
You've
And
got your black book of
yeah, I
professional
do. I
advisors.
do, of people who have not let me down, people who have come through, like you guys.
Sure.
And those are the people I recommend.
What is it like working with other agents out there in the world today? Has the pool changed, or in the last 5 years or 10 years, or is the pool of agents that you're dealing with about the same?
So, you know, the more I specialize and create like this niche business, the more I get to know some of those big players out there.
Sure.
And establishing those relationships have been incredibly important in my business. I do a lot of off-market work. So an off-market deal is a home that wouldn't necessarily be publicized or be on the MLS. So I have, at any one time, I probably have about 12 off markets myself in my pocket. And some of those big agents out there know that. So I'll get a call 2-3 times a week from these big agents like, hey, Raquel, what you got? What you got?
Okay.
So
Because they've got a buyer in search of.
yeah, they have that they're not finding online. So creating those relationships has been important. And how has the agent pool changed? Well, real estate, unfortunately, there's a very low barrier of
Yes.
entry there, which is unfortunate because, you know, you have to know your contracts, you have to know negotiation skills, people skills are very important, and hopefully you have your heart in it. So I think, you know, having those 4 things, you could be successful in selling real estate. But if you don't, you know, you're not very successful. And actually, if you look at the numbers, I think there's only about 2% of real estate agents that create all the business. So a little bit of everything.
Really?
Yeah.
So only a small percentage of the real estate agents create 80 or 90% of the business.
Exactly.
In dollar wise, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And at the market level that you're at, which is a very affluent market space, are you seeing a slowing, or are you still seeing that market traveling about the same pace?
So there's always at the price point I'm at, which is probably 5 million and up, there's always somebody who wants to buy, and maybe the economy and maybe interest rates are not really influencing them.
Sure.
I'm not selling houses like pancakes. I do like very dedicated concierge style work with each client.
Sure.
I probably only do about 7 to 10 deals a year, but my clients get my all. I don't turn my phone off. Whatever time zone they're in, I will pick up the phone. And my family understands that. And I think those kind of clients, they're not really limited by what's going on around the world with
Very
the
much so.
economy.
If you were to talk about, if an advisor thought, well, she's great, she's got powerful clients, she's got an ongoing business, she's got her own family business, I wish I could work with somebody like her. What are the things that people say to you or talk to you about to start with that have you say, nope, that's not somebody for me? And what are some of the things they say where you say, well, that might be intriguing?
Somebody who wants to work with me.
They want to work with you, or they want to be a referral source to you, or they want to somehow refer business back and forth, or they want you as a client. What are things that advisors say sometimes that you think, ooh, that's not good?
I think I have a good sense for who people are. Maybe that's from my background in psychology.
Sure.
And I've studied body language for a long time, so I could very quickly pick up, I think, people's intention. So just having a conversation, I can tell if they're sincere or not, if, you know, if they're in it, if they're all in or if they're not. So I think maybe a little bit of a gut feeling mixed with references, mixed with a little bit of, you know, online looking up and
Sleuthing.
yeah, a little bit of that, and you know, seeing if there's been interviews with them and where I could hear them talk candidly about their business or about their life. So a little bit of all that. I mean, it's not easy to get into my favorite person zone.
Yes.
So once you're there,
You're
I
good.
mean, I'm very loyal.
Love that. So from what you just said, some of that is you use your gut instinct, your people skills of being around lots of people to choose, and you realize it's about the person, not about their technical ability often. So if they lead with their technical, that may not be it. You want to know them and you want to see if they're sincere in their life. And then of course, you're going to look for references.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go online and you can see what does that appearance look like? What is their professional appearance? What are their candid conversations? That's
Yeah,
cool.
a little bit of that, but I won't get to them. I mean, I wouldn't even start with them if their technical skills weren't already established. Like I'm starting with successful businesses or
So that's what's in the pool first.
So yeah,
Successful people.
yes,
and then
first
work
you
from there.
filter out, right? You start doing a little bit of filtering out.
So you're looking for that person to have the affectations or the signs of success in their business
Yes.
and personally, and then you work towards the rest.
Yes, yes. And I don't always have just one. I always try to give my clients 2 or 3 different referrals that they could choose from because not everybody's the right fit for
Very much so.
everyone. Mhm.
Well, everybody, that's Raquel and myself. Thank you so much for the time
Thank
today.
you.
I
Thank you
appreciate
so
that.
much for having me.
Ellen, Shelley, thanks for setting it up.
Thank you.
Neela, sorry you didn't turn it on your camera. I'll tease you about that later. Tim, it's great to see you. Alejandro, good to see you too, my friend. And I'm commenting to some of the people that I see with their cameras on. So Adam and Kurt, thanks. Shelley, I appreciate you very much. You all have a good day. And that'll be this one. And when is our next, Shelley? I don't think you're on mute, but I couldn't hear you speak.
April 22nd.
And Ella says it's April 22nd. So those of you, will see you on April 22nd. Thank you very much. Those that have downloaded, it was shorter today at 20 minutes because we started a little bit late. Thank you all. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody.